a new quarterback, and there's Janarian Grant after Winnipeg won the toss, and they want the football first. Last time they met here, it was on Labor Day last September. It was just a 2-point win for Winnipeg. Brett Lother gets us underway. It's week 2, but chapter 1 between the Bombers and the Riders as Grant is hauled down just over the 35 for Zach Collaros. All that run of success in Bomber blue and gold, Glenn, and out to get started again.
You take a look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against Saskatchewan, have done a real nice job over the last couple of years. Even when they come into Mosaic, hostile territory, close to a sellout here in Mosaic Stadium, and they're 1-0 to start the season. Beat Hamilton last week.
And what a start it was. He ended up 21 of 31, 354 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks in that win last week over the Ticats. So here we go, Winnipeg, with Ford to the right, faking the handoff and throwing it to Nick Dembski, who had a great start to the season last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, I highlighted the 2 guards, Patrick Neufeld and Jeff Gray, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and their offensive line because of the interior of the defensive line. Maybe a strength for Saskatchewan with Micah Johnson and DeMarcus Christmas. And Nick Dembski off to a great start. Had a great opening week for the Bombers offensively.
Did he ever? 6 catches, 113 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter. Picks up 4 there. 2nd and 6. Crowd picking up. Noisy day here at Mosaic with the Bomber offense on the field. On 2nd down, Collaros gets away from the pressure, on the move to the right, where he can throw so well, but the coverage is there. C.J. Rivas in on Dalton Schoen, last year's Rookie of the Year, and that one is broken up. A 3rd down and a 2-and-out for Winnipeg.
Zach Collaros is going to escape to his right here. Pretty good pressure. The pocket collapses quickly, so he has to get outside, tries to throw against the flow. Jaden Dalkey there along with C.J. Rivas to make the play and get a quick 2-and-out from that Bomber offense.
Jaden Dalkey, in the 2nd year, the starting safety for Saskatchewan. Had a big hit last week in Edmonton. And in to punt is Jamison Sheehan from Australia. And that is taken by Mario Alford. Always dangerous returner who gets it up to the 35. So we had wondered, would it be Mason Fine after the Harris injury? No. Trevor Harris coming on for his first start at home with his new team after going 20 of 33 for 179 last week.
A big win against the Edmonton Elks in the opening week of the season for Trevor Harris in Saskatchewan. Getting things started on a positive note, and it's been a week of rest for Harris as he was trying to give his tight back and hip time to try and recoup as close as he could get to 100% before kickoff.
From the left hash, taking the snap from the new center, Peter Godber, handing off to Frankie Hickson. And his first carry of the game picks up only a yard. Good up front, Malik Clemens, the weak side linebacker in there for Winnipeg.
Well, whenever you're playing against Winnipeg, you have to see who's matched up against Willie Jefferson, and that'll be Eric Lofton when Jefferson's playing off on that side of the formation. And the #1 targeted receiver for Saskatchewan against Edmonton was Sean Bain, former Calgary Stampeder.
Bain over wearing number 15 now in his first year with the green and white. On a 2nd and long, Harris, 4-man rush, gets it away for Jake Winnipeg. Another newcomer to Saskatchewan who hangs on to the football and picks up a Rider first down.
Yeah, Evan Holmes in good position here for the Bombers on defense, but a simultaneous catch goes to the offense, and Winnipeg just hangs on. I mean, they both look like they both caught that at the same time, but a simultaneous catch goes to the offense.
Earned that nickname touchdown, Jake, in Montreal. Quieter season last year, signs as a free agent. Tevin Jones getting the start at wideout with the injury last week to Darrell Walker, went on the 6, and looks like close to another first down for Saskatchewan. Yes, indeed it is.
Great start to the season for Willie Jefferson. Couple sacks against Hamilton, forced fumble, and a couple of knockdowns. The leader down Main Street is Adam Bighill. 4 tackles for him in week 1, and then right behind him is Brandon Alexander, and they're interchangeable parts in this defense.
Jones out to the right, Samuel Emelis to the left. At the top of the screen and a 1st and 10. Harris and the Riders on the move. 2nd straight completion there to Tevin Jones, who is close to another first down. Impressive start for Trevor Harris and this Rider offense.
Yeah, no Darrell Walker, who started at that spot last week against Edmonton. So Tevin Jones steps in, makes that catch on the slant.
And picks up about 9.5, so a 2nd and short here at the Winnipeg 40. Harris is going to throw. Pump fake. Looking deep. Left side and nearly intercepted by Desmond Lawrence. That one too far for Emelis as Lawrence had a beat on it but just couldn't hang on to the ball, so we have a 3rd and short coming up.
Yeah, it looked like a double move out here from the outside to try and fool Desmond Lawrence at corner, and Emelis isn't going to get it done. It just, he played a cushion type technique, so playing off the receiver, and had the best chance to get that. Just slipped through his hands on the over the shoulder catch.
Shea Patterson, the short yardage quarterback, is in, and he is met almost immediately at the line of scrimmage. Bombers think they've forced them to turn it over on downs. It will be a close call here for Patterson.
Boy, the way he was digging for that, looked like he actually dropped the ball. Let's take a look from this angle. No, he just realized that that first hit, he didn't have it. Kept working at it. It looks like they didn't get it.
They did not get it. Signaling first down Winnipeg. First turnover of the game. On downs for the Blue Bombers. Shea Patterson in. Didn't need much. Didn't get it. A scoreless tie here at Mosaic in Saskatchewan. Adam Bighill, as he so often does, coming up big on a 3rd down and short, Glenn.
Well, when you've registered 821 career tackles, been a 3-time Grey Cup champion, 3-time outstanding defensive player, you got some good timing.
So Collaros goes to work after the turnover on downs and the first catch for Dalton Schoen in this game. Last year's Rookie of the Year and leading receiver in the Canadian Football League.
Collaros going to take a hit here, but the timing is there, and so is the decision to throw it to that weak side post. The halfback had rolled away, leaving a one-on-one on the outside.
Getting it up to midfield. Crowd picking up again on the 1st and 10 Winnipeg. Handing off, and they got him in the backfield. C.J. Rivas comes in, and he tackles Brady Oliveira for a loss.
The strength of this team may just be in the interior of their defensive line, led by the veteran Micah Johnson. 10 years in the league for Micah. Larry Dean started with 4 defensive tackles. He's a leader at linebacker, and what a start for Jaden Dahlke. Won the job in training camp. Mike Edom retired. He was a starting safety last year. Dahlke, on the very first play, stepped into Eugene Lewis to set the tone.
So a loss of 3. Rivas tackling Oliveira. 2nd and 13, just inside Winnipeg territory for Collaros. Over the middle, complete. Nick Dembski has another catch, a much bigger one this time, as they pick up a big first down inside the Saskatchewan 40.
Just a tremendously accurate throw here, as you're going to see the seam route from Nick Dembski, and it just seems to me that Dembski just become that go-to guy for Collaros in the real key moments when he wants to grab some momentum. That's a big play to get him plus territory.
Inside the 35, actually, down to that 33. Saskatchewan, the thing about that Winnipeg offense, they can strike quickly. We saw it last week against Hamilton. Reminded again, the play fake and the screen off to Dembski. And another catch for him as he gets it inside the 30. A 2nd down coming up for the Bombers.
Originally drafted by Saskatchewan in the 1st round, ended up becoming a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, going back home. High school Oak Park Raiders. High school football team. What a start in week 1. 113 receiving yards. Had a big 47-yarder. He's out of the gate.
We talked about it a couple of days ago with him. He still hears it from Rider fans, but he comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Had a few seasons in the green and white before switching allegiances. 2nd and 5. Deep look into the end zone for Dembski. Coverage there. Amari Henderson, Jaden Dahlke, but a flag comes out late. Ruling a PI by the looks of things on that intention for Dembski.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it's on Dembski, because the way he reacted. Here's Dembski here, and let's just follow him on this deep route.
Offensive pass interference.
Yeah, it is.
Winnipeg, number 10. That penalty's declined Third down.
It's against Dembski for the push right there. I mean, I don't think it really had a bearing in the play that much, except for the fact that he did it. He knew he did it. He gave him a push. Amari Henderson, I guess they're saying he couldn't track it down.
So Sergio Castillo comes out. He was 4 for 4 last week in the field goal department against Hamilton in that game at home. And Sheehan putting it down right from the 36. Castillo for the first points in this game. It's up, it's through, and the Bombers are on the board. Courtesy that field goal, Castillo. Trevor Harris had a good start. That first victorious in his debut with the Riders last week, but not an easy day for him last Sunday. 20 of 33. He did throw a touchdown pass to another new Rider in Darrell Walker, but late in the game, Glenn, second last play of the game, he would get hurt in that, and I know there were questions on whether he should be running a play like that.
Yeah, he took a pretty hard hit. That was the last play. Now, Craig Dickinson said that the reason he ran that play is to kill the clock.
It's Jamal Morrow on the carry on first down. Willie Jefferson finished off the job there.
Basically 28 seconds left at that point. He wants to kill 20 of the seconds with the huddle and snapping it right at the last moment. And then you got about 8 seconds. Your quarterback rolls out. He throws it as high as he can, kills about 6 so that the opposition gets maybe 1 play.
You had an interesting discussion with him the other day on the Zoom call. He doubled down, though. He said you do that 100% of the time. He's convinced that's the way he would always do it.
And he said, you know, Trevor has to take a little bit of it because you got to throw it a little earlier. Don't take that hit.
It's second down now. Harris completes it. And more yards after the catch, too, for Sean Bain, who started his CFL career with the Calgary Stampeders, coming over to the Riders as a free agent.
Well, the question is, with that injury, how is he going to be able to negotiate the pocket? Will Trevor Harris be able to avoid these hits? And, you know, it doesn't have to be a big one to just twist it the wrong way and cause a problem. So far, so good. He looks sharp. Seeing the field. Nice completion over the middle. 4
for 5, midfield. Completes another one there for about 4 yards, and that's going back to Bain as well. Trevor Harris, one of very few to have 4,000 yards at least passing in a season with 4 different teams. Did it last year with the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, and if he has another 4,000-yard season this year, he will pass on the all-time list Darian Durant, Tom Burgess, 2 former Saskatchewan Roughriders, and a Bomber in Burgess's case, and Sam Etcheverry on the all-time list, over 30,000 passing yards.
Some pretty big names. He's chasing down now, and a career age 37, still going strong, and that one is completed. And that was with Des Lawrence coming in on Jawan Breskison, who also started his career in Calgary and the last couple of years was with the Toronto Argonauts, but rarely played, and getting a fresh start in Saskatchewan.
Timing here is good because Desmond Lawrence had a chance to come downhill there, and I thought he was going to try and undercut that. He decided not to. He decided to play the receiver, make the safe play, and get the receiver down and limit the game rather than take a chance, miss the ball, and then Breskison turned in the corner.
I say rarely played because of injury. Only 11 games played with the Argos in 2 seasons. 3rd and inches. This time, no problem. Shea Patterson in on short yardage. Last time in that situation, they were stopped shy and turned it over on downs, but this drive continues.
Yeah, so Craig Dickinson made a real good point with us on the Zoom call, and he was directing it to me because I criticized the decision in the game against Edmonton. I still respectfully disagree. I may put Shea Patterson in the game and have him practice that scenario, or maybe even Mason Fine, the true backup.
Harris does look good, though, as he looks deep, and it is caught inside the 10, down to the 5. Tevin Jones, DeMario Houston was all over him, but a great catch by Jones to make it 1st and goal, Saskatchewan.
Well, yeah, and the throw, because the throw led it outside. Tevin Jones now has a chance. He stabs it with his right hand and tips it back to himself. You're right, the coverage was tight, but look at that little tip. And the key to that route, Rod, Jones gives himself some space on the sideline. He doesn't run himself out of bounds. He's got about 2 or 3 yards inside that white stripe.
And you're right, beautifully thrown ball by Trevor Harris. to put Saskatchewan on the doorstep of Winnipeg, down at the 5. Late first quarter.
Got a one-on-one at the top.
Harris faking the handoff to Morrow. Walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. Samuel Emilus. The Riders get on the board, and they take the lead.
One thing that Trevor Harris sees on this touchdown pre-snap is Brandon Alexander right there, the safety up near the line of scrimmage. If the safety's up near the line, then he can't be back in the middle in that end zone. Emilus sees it. Trevor Harris sees it. Touchdown, Saskatchewan.
Samuel Emilus, Canadian, the second year, played his college ball at Louisiana Tech. And he's got Saskatchewan's first touchdown of this game, the point after by Brett Lawther. Impressive 7-play drive. Trevor Harris is 8 for 9 in this game for 116 yards and a touchdown, set up by that nice play by Jones, and Emilus has it. 7-3 Saskatchewan leads.
There's Brandon Alexander. Go ahead and snap it. And I'm going to show you what Trevor Harris looks at. He sees the safety out of the middle. Stop it there. He's looking right at Alexander, so he knows he's got the middle wide open. Which receiver is going to be the guy that gets to the middle? Samuel Emilus on the post.
So Saskatchewan, in an earlier possession, turned it over on downs, and Winnipeg answered back with a drive for a field goal. That was the response. Rider offenses look good early on in this game as Lawther kicks it off. Now they're up 7-3, and Janarian Grant has it at his 20. Good coverage. A.J. Allen has him wrapped up just across the 30. So Zach Collaros coming back on. 4 for 6, 46 yards so far in this one. Back-to-back most outstanding player in the Canadian.
A lot of excitement, but not so much for the Bombers. I talked to Nick Dembski about returning to Saskatchewan for the first time since that game. He said, okay, well, I was on the plane. I was fine. I was on the bus ride to the stadium. I was fine. And then I got to the stadium yesterday, and I walked on the turf, and I immediately remembered that feeling, and I was filled with so much emotion. But he did say, I'm going to use that as motivation today in this game to come back and get a win here so I can have a happy memory once again. But I'll say for us, we enjoyed Grey Cup week here.
We did, Brett,
Yes,
and
we did.
We won't speak for Bomber fans, you're right. But if you allow yourself to be objective here, that game was off the charts in the fourth quarter with all the momentum swings.
Yeah, the championship game in the Canadian Football League once again delivered. I mean, 2 block kicks at the very end of that game, the big interception by Canadian Enoch Mwamba. I mean, it was worth every penny. The championship game. I know the Bombers didn't get the result they wanted, and they were going after the three-peat, remember.
They were always so close to getting it, too. They're down in this one after an impressive drive by the Riders. 7-3 Saskatchewan. 2nd and 5 now Collaros. He completes it for a first down. It's Nick Dembski again, who was mentioned at a very busy season opener at home against the Hamilton Tiger Cats last week.
Yeah, I think if you're playing defense or you're defensive coordinator in the Canadian Football League now, you've just got to pay more attention to Nick Dembski. You got to roll the coverage to Dembski. He's got to be your number one, especially on second down. I mean, Dembski has been the guy that Zach Collaros has leaned on in key situations the end of last year, this year for sure in the first game, and he's doing it again tonight.
The Bomber offense got a shot out of a cannon last week in the first quarter with 3 touchdowns. Collaros throwing. He had Drew Wolotarski. The coverage was good. Larry Dean was there. It falls incomplete. Deontay Williams, the boundary corner, also in the coverage of Wolotarski.
Boy, we talked to Larry Dean on Zooms this week, and the first question was the goal line stand against Edmonton. That defense real physical in that first week. Look at Larry Dean, though. He's also the athlete. I mean, he plays from tackle to tackle as well as any middle linebacker in the league, but he can run, too. Chases down a receiver and gets the knockdown.
2nd and 10. Bombers at the 48. Noise picks up. Deeper ball again into coverage, and a flag does come out. It was intended for Carlton Agadosi, and that corner, Deontay Williams, was there. Coverage was tight. A flag does come out.
There is no penalty flag on the play. It will be third down.
Yeah, Micah Tights is going to drop and help here as he drops into the deep half of the field. I'm trying to see if there was why the flag was pulled in the first place. That was a pretty clean play down the sideline.
Close for Agadosi, who had one catch last week of 40 yards. And so, Jamison Sheehan from Bendigo, Australia, with the punt. As Alford lets it roll down to the 3, picks it up and gets the no yards, so you can tack on 15 more.
Scan the QR promo code on screen to pay $30 less on a Crave Total 6-month plan versus a monthly subscription to get access to the most talked about series and latest hit movies.
Rod Smith, Glenn Suter, Britt Dort at Mosaic Stadium in Regina for the home opener of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 2 1-0 teams, Mike O'Shea's Bombers. Victorious last week. Team down right now with the penalty and the no yards. It comes out to the 18-yard line of Saskatchewan for Trevor Harris to come back in. We wondered if Harris would play because of the hit pointer last Sunday, but he's looked very sharp so far. 8 for 9 in this game and a touchdown pass to Samuel Emelis. Jamal Morrow has the ball, and the safety Brandon Alexander coming in says, I don't think so. He tackles him for a loss.
They've been playing Brandon Alexander in this game down at the line of scrimmage. He's up to the right of your screen. Just got that arrow just inside it. But watch how he sneaks up, times up his blitz, and shoots right through that B gap. That's the gap between the tackle and the guard. And Alexander owns the B gap there. Stop that play before it got started.
Pushes him back 5 yards. A 2nd and 15 at the Rider 13 now. Who made his CFL debut last week. He's in there for the injured Jackson Jeffcoat. He had a big sack of Bo Levi Mitchell late in the game that helped Winnipeg wrap it up against the Ticats.
Yeah, I was just curious to see how Trevor Harris ran. This is the real first time in this game that he had to take off and run and just take a look at that hip. And is he favoring it? Didn't look like it, but tracked down by Haba.
And so they'll be punting. It's Adam Corsack, another Australian punter, with Kari Vedvik injured on the one game. Corsack, who punted last week for the Riders in Edmonton, standing near his goal line. And this, the last play of the first quarter. Janarian Grant at midfield. And he takes it on the fly, and he gets it down inside the Rider 40. So as the second quarter will begin, a good place to start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They scored first on a Castillo field goal, but back came Saskatchewan. And a good drive capped off by that, the Emelis touchdown. 4-point game, Friday Night Football after 1. And I guess the headliner, Glenn, among the things that you noticed in that first quarter, Trevor Harris, over 100 yards passing so far, looks pretty good.
Yeah, 8 of 9 and looks very good. Doesn't look like the injury is bothering him too much. And for the Bombers, they've activated Brandon Alexander, got him close to the line of scrimmage. He's made a couple of plays defensively. Now the counter to that is to try to go to the middle like Saskatchewan did on the touchdown. However, they can also, the Bombers can roll Adam Bighill back to the safety spot, which they do all the time. So you got to be careful not to be fooled by that if you're Trevor Harris.
That punt by Adam Corsack from his end zone, taken in the air by Janarian Grant. A good return to get it down to the Saskatchewan 38. So Winnipeg, with the defense resting, sees Kolaris out there, anticipating the snap from Chris Kolinkowski, his center. Quickly gets it over to Dembski, gets it inside the 30-yard line, and looks to be first down yardage there right away for Winnipeg.
You know, there's technique, and then sometimes you just got to sling it. And Zach Collaros slings it here. He has to change his throwing motion, really just sidearm it around Micah Tights to make sure it doesn't get knocked down, and right between the 1 and the 0 for Dembski.
The first of 3 meetings this season between the Riders and the Bombers. Winnipeg swept last year, but on Labor Day it was a 2-point game, went right down to the wire. Always close here at Mosaic between these two. Oliveira on first down. He finds a hole. He drives through. He gets it inside the 20. And close to another Winnipeg first down.
Yeah, good opening week for Brady Oliveira as well against that Hamilton defense. That's a good front 7 in Hamilton as well. Jagarrett Davis back at that group, but Oliveira over 100 yards rushing and a 5-yard average.
22 carries, 106 yards in that touchdown last week against the Ticats, and 3rd in the CFL last year. Had just over 1,001 rushing yards. Brady Oliveira, he got 9. It's a 2nd and 1 at the Rider 18. Drew Brown is in for short yardage as they do try to pull him back. It's Wesley Clark after he already got the first down.
I think it's fair to say that offenses in the first week were a little bit behind the defenses, but there was some good production from some of the players offensively. Brady Oliveira. We'll see Mizell in BC tomorrow. The panels beat us there.
They did.
That could be trouble.
They're waiting for us. Well, they're busy working here too, but we talked about the star power, the panel and LL Cool J. Jeremy Clark of the Riders, excuse me. Trying to pull back Oliveira. The first down now at the Saskatchewan 16. Into the hands of Rasheed Bailey and taken down by Williams. Deontay Williams, the corner for the Riders.
Yeah, I wondered if Zach Collaros would go after Deontay Williams, who's playing for Nick Marshall on that corner, and if Buck Pierce, the offensive coordinator, would try and see if they could test him. Often for young DBs, you're going to back up in that first half just because you're a little unsure of what you're going to see from the receiving core of the opposition, and see if Buck Pierce, he hasn't really targeted him yet. I mean, a couple of plays that way.
See here now on a 2nd and 7, Winnipeg deep in the Rider zone. Collaros with time into the end zone. Dalton Schoen. Touchdown Winnipeg. What a catch right off the turf. Wasn't sure for a moment if he did have it, but Schoen, last year's Rookie of the Year, with an outstanding play there to put the Bombers back in front.
Yeah, targeted 9 times in week 1, and he made 5 catches. This is his most spectacular of this campaign, but boy, he made a lot of them last year, over 1,400 yards, as you mentioned. And that one, that's a tough catch. You have to go down low as you're moving across the field between the legs and try and scoop that, get your hands underneath so it doesn't touch the turf. That's a big catch.
I think that reaction by Collaros says a lot for Schoen, too, because he didn't look all that surprised. He just pumped his fist, and he's used to great plays from his young receiver, Schoen, his 2nd year at Kansas State. What a year he had last year with 16 touchdowns, and he's got one there. A nice low catch for Schoen. So Winnipeg started the 2nd quarter in good field position, and they took advantage. Schoen, touchdown Winnipeg, 10-7, Bombers lead. To make that catch, capping a 5-play, 38-yard drive.
And Zach Collaros had to throw it inside. He's got Amari Henderson outside, Jaden Dahlke in at the safety spot, so he had to throw it low and away. But let's just show you how tough that catch really was for Dalton Schoen, because, you know, we've seen the ones where a receiver has to dive for it, reach out in front of him. Those are tough and spectacular catches, but this one he had to stop his forward momentum.
They're playing like that 23 cents for holding boundary. It means they're sitting it down. It means they're like quick passes, right?
He had to stop his forward momentum and then reach down behind him almost, so that's why. But great reaction by the entire team.
It really was.
Business as usual for 83. I mean, you guys can make a big thing of it up there if you want. But
well, the saying goes, act like you've been there before. The Bombers certainly act like they've done that before. Alford on the return, and a good one out close to midfield, up near the Rider 50, but those two, boy, they combined a lot last year in Schoen's rookie season. Here's the first time this season.
Let's take another look. Watch his forward momentum. He's got to put the brakes on. Now he's got to go down low. He's got his knee to deal with, so he's got to reach out in front of that. And he knows that Jaden Dahlke from the left of your screen is coming downhill. So the ball is low and away. Kalara's protecting his receiver, but a real tough catch made look routine for 83.
And you're right. You see those amazing, spectacular one-handed grabs and can't help but marvel at him. But that, in its own right, is just so impressive to watch. 1st and 10. Harris back on. Into the hands of Tevin Jones, who had a solid first quarter. A couple of big catches. He's taken down, though, for a loss. Brandon Alexander, you talked about the safety coming in again.
Yeah, you know, in week 1, it didn't look like he was playing in the same type of game plan. Now they're playing a different team, and that's why. But Alexander comes down, and he's been activated to get more involved, and they're rotating Adam Bighill back at times. 3 or 4 big plays now for 37.
Alexander taking down Jones for a loss of maybe a foot. We'll call it 2nd and 11, even less than that. But 2nd and long for Harris. Stepping up, gets away from the pressure and takes off. We wondered about his running, too. He doesn't run often. A flag comes out, too. There was late contact with his helmet as he went down. And a first down for Saskatchewan, and could more be coming via penalty.
Yeah, Malik Clements is chasing him from behind. And, you know, it's tough for Clements to see exactly when that Trevor Harris is going to slide here because he's behind him. But that really doesn't matter. I mean, the rule is the rule that if a quarterback slides, you can't hit him. You can't even touch him, let alone swing the arm around at the helmet. There he ducks the first one, and then here comes the hit. Well, the timing was so close
there
on that.
There is no flag for hitting in the head of the passer. It was a clean hit. First down.
So, you know, the timing was so close on that, and like I said, Clements can't see because he's behind, so you can't see the indicator that the quarterback's going to hook slide. And it's incumbent upon the quarterback to slide early so that you declare so you don't get hit. And the helmet didn't come into it because Trevor Harris had slid, so he fell into the hit.
And to your point, command center saying the slide was so late that Clements was already engaged.
Exactly.
In the contact. So no flag, but we do have a flag coming out here now after the first down run by Trevor Harris.
Yeah, and you know, in real time they made the correction. You see, he hasn't declared early enough, and Clements is already in his tackling motion. Now we'll see what this one is.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 64. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
They got the left guard, Evan Johnson, on that for 5 yards. A veteran in his 6th season, 3rd with the Riders, played at the University of Saskatchewan. Started, was drafted by the Ottawa Red Blacks. Further to Harris running the ball, his 2nd carry. He had 1 for 19 yards in Edmonton before the hip. Yeah, big one too late in the game.
Yeah.
But we wondered, would he choose to run here with the hip pointer? He seems okay. Throwing that time on the 1st and 15, and it is complete. That's Samuel Emelis, who has the touchdown for the Riders in this game.
Yeah, I think by now the adrenaline's kicked in, and Trevor Harris is not even feeling it. I mean, he's not showing any ill effects from the injury a week ago. Really didn't practice with the first team all week long.
Picks up 13 and a 2nd and 2, and they've got that right side. The ball carrier is Jamal Morrow. It's the home opener. And if ever you're going to see fans come out in droves, it's right here at Mosaic to cheer on the Roughriders at 1-0 coming in and another first down.
Haven't seen a lot of Jamal Morrow in this game yet. Or Frankie Hickson. Not a lot of the run game. They've gone to a little play action early.
1st and 10. Oh, it's knocked out and he gets it back. Harris was feeling the heat there right about the 40-yard line. The pressure coming in. And Celestin Haba, as mentioned before, had a big sack against Hamilton last week, and starting in place of Jackson Jeffcoat.
Yeah, Haba's going to come up the field and then slide underneath here. And when he does that, he's got just that natural gift and understanding and just a pure natural pass rusher off the edge. And we asked Coach O'Shea about Jackson Jeffcoat. He said he's going to be okay and back soon.
Harris is under pressure again. He's taken down by the big tackle, Jake Thomas. So that Winnipeg front rising up, and this drive now and pushing Saskatchewan way back to the 43 of Winnipeg now.
The veteran, Jake Thomas, stepping up in a one-on-one with Evan Johnson, who got that penalty early on. Just real active hands there from Jake Thomas to never let Evan Johnson get comfortable in his pass pro.
One of the elder statesmen to his 11th season with the Bombers out of Acadia. So push back further is Brett Lawther to try a 51-yarder, and it is wide right, and here comes Janarian Grant. Always dangerous, especially on a missed field goal, and a long try as he takes it out. Another good return by Grant to get it up to the 38. So Lawther pushed back, misses the field goal try, all made possible because of this play by Jake Thomas pushing them back. Check out the celly for the big man. Tries from the one, and they couldn't punch it in. Ended up losing by 4.
Just goal line stand when you have to give a yard. It just does, you don't see it very often. Just a real physical game by both defenses, really. But that was where the game was won for Saskatchewan. 3 shots at the goal line. Jason Shivers, the defensive coordinator, had him playing physical in week 1. Dalkey set the tone early. Milligan had a huge game with an interception and 5 defensive tackles.
That defense on the field now. It's a 3-point Winnipeg lead. They have the ball, and Dalton Schoen nearly had the ball there. Milligan is right back with him. Schoen scoring a touchdown earlier in the game. That one incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Yeah, they'll put Dalkey. Excuse me. They'll put Dalton Schoen in the slot back spot, and then shoot him down the numbers as if he lined up as a wide receiver. Just get him inside in a one-on-one with lots of room on both sides of that go route. But Milligan, step for step.
Roland Milligan in his 3rd year out of Toledo. Had a pick last week. Flag coming out. Collaros gets it away. It is complete at midfield to Rasheed Bailey.
That is in the holding vicinity.
Holding Winnipeg number 53. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Little stunt up front here. Micah Johnson here, Pete Robertson there, and watch number 53, Patrick Neufeld, who gets caught a little bit late coming off that twist. A little twist up front by the front 4. Pete Robertson in the middle. Neufeld gets around his shoulder pads.
From Saskatchewan, played for the Huskies. Started his career with the Riders, and after a couple of years got traded in 2013 to Winnipeg. He's been there ever since. 2nd and 20 now. Collaros with time. Off to the left. Finds an open man. Dalton Schoen again. And that's up near the 50 of Winnipeg.
Great blocking and protection up front in that offensive line for the Bombers on this play. I mean, Zach Collaros has tons of time up front. The 5 guys, basically 5-man pressure, so it's 5-on-5, clean pocket to allow Dalton Schoen to get way up the field and then come back right at the marker.
And he rolls out to the right and he completes another. Right at about the 10-yard mark as Winnipeg leading it by 3, and that's Drew Wolotarski with the reception.
Riders defensively on that deep throw for the 1st down played real conservative on the edges. They didn't want Zach Collaros to escape outside, so they were pushing the pocket but not getting into pass rush mode. Great blocking by that O-line, and that was a huge conversion on 2nd and long. Got them out of their own end too.
Into Rider territory at the Saskatchewan 50 and another first down. Collaros and the Bombers. A 10-7 lead late in the first half. Brady Oliveira. And once again, carefully and methodically finds some room inside that line and pushes it for a good 5 more yards for Winnipeg.
Always lots of movement in the Winnipeg offense. Buck Pierce doing such a nice job offensively as a coordinator. He'll shoot a receiver across. Sometimes it's Rashid Bailey. Sometimes it's Nick Dembski. Just forces the defense to take an extra second to react to where the ball actually is. That time to Brady Oliveira. Good matchup right here between coordinators.
It really is. 8-6 Oliveira and a 2nd and 4. Complete again, Wolotarski. First down and more. Drew Wolotarski takes it down inside the Saskatchewan 20. Lots of things happening on that play.
And again, all the action going as you're looking at it to the right, and Zach Collaros bails out the opposite way. Can throw on the run as well as any quarterback in the league. Doesn't get enough credit for that.
Saw it last week against Hamilton too. Rolling out to the right, looking into the end zone. Classic Collaros. And on that one too, Wolotarski 3 catches, 57 yards last week. Big one there. And he nearly had another catch. Wolotarski just couldn't hang on to that one.
Full blitz, one-on-ones. Had his slant route against the rookie. He saw the pressure, knows he doesn't have them all blocked because C.J. Rivas coming off the edge is unblocked.
It was close. Deontay Williams was the one there. And there's Rivas. The Sam linebacker, a 2nd and 10. 4 minutes exactly until the half. Winnipeg looking to add to the 3-point lead. Micah Tights, he was coming. Collaros runs away from the heat. He gets it inside the 10. And a 1st and goal coming up for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Micah Tights was coming so hard that he actually went past Collaros and looked like he may have given up contain. First of all, you're going to get a block, a good one from Oliveira. He's trying to pick up Tights coming off the edge. So here comes Tights off the edge. He picks him and he pushes him wide. So there goes the contain, and now he sees that open lane up front, and Zach Collaros takes off. Key first down.
Injured player in the field is Micah Johnson. Winnipeg is threatening down inside the Saskatchewan 10. Defense late in the half. Charbel DeBeer, 99, is in at tackle. It is a 1st and goal after the Collaros run for Winnipeg. Brady Oliveira, right, back up the middle, works his way inside the 5. Some tough yardage in there, and a 2nd and goal is coming up.
Let's go back to that play where Zach Collaros got it down to where they are right now with that run inside, because Lake Corte Moore, their #1 pick, he's got to run an inside slant with Micah Johnson doing that, and then you got Micah Tights off the edge. Watch Corte Moore get pushed outside and not into his lane. So he gets crammed up and pushed outside. He can't cut underneath. There's where the big lane was. That was the key play. Now we'll see if the Bombers can finish this drive.
This is the 3-minute warning.
The 3-minute warning is given, and a 2nd and goal. Winnipeg leading 10-7 with a great chance to increase their lead by the half.
Not the only ones on the road this week. We brought our own DJ. We're here in BC, and we're going to tee up the Lions and the Elks.
We're looking forward to seeing you, Kate. You and the panel racking up the air miles. Gotta like that. Hunker down in Vancouver for this one and the one tomorrow with the Lions and the Elks. 2nd and goal. Collaros steps up, takes it in for the touchdown. Winnipeg. 2nd time in this drive that Collaros decided to take off. Both big plays. That one, another Bomber touchdown.
Yeah, I'm not sure who was in charge of contain on the outside for Saskatchewan, but this side of the field, there's no containment, and Zach Collaros notices it immediately. No containment. Well, it was Pete Robertson. He jumped inside, and when he did, Collaros just took advantage.
The two-time MOP walking off. He's thrown a touchdown pass in this game. He has scored one. It is pending the extra point from Sergio Castillo, which is through. It is now a 10-point lead on a 10-play, 72-yard drive late in this first half.
I hit him with the head, Creighton.
And the players of the drive were the offensive line in this. Couple of key moments where Collaros had to throw from deep in the pocket there, had the time to do it. The offensive line opening it up there. They throw a designed roll for him. Breaks contain up the middle, breaks up the middle through that B gap, and then there's a touchdown where he breaks contain from P. Robertson and gets outside. I mean, it's looked like Robertson was cut block at the line of scrimmage, and when he jumped over him, he jumped inside. Like he's still making people miss.
Remarkable story. You've heard it so many times of what Zach Collaros has done since coming to Winnipeg. When it looked like that 2019 season was a write-off for him, it started in Saskatchewan. He got hurt on the third play of the Riders season in Hamilton in 2019. And as I say, it went from a lost year to a Grey Cup victory with Winnipeg, and everything since is really one for the books.
34-5.
Remarkable.
Including playoffs. I mean, only 5 times in all of that time since back in 19. 5 times he's lost. I mean, you think back to the early days with Bo in Calgary, Bo Levi Mitchell. He had that win-loss record that was very similar.
So Mario Alford has it. 2:43 on the clock, and the one thing that the Riders can still hang their hat on, even though they're down by 10, is they have been able to move the football. Trevor Harris has had, statistically anyway, a good first half just to show that he is okay. The hit pointer does not seem to be an issue, but now the green and white late in the half have some work to do.
They do, but there's time. I mean, at 2:43, you can run your offense, basically. Kelly Jeffrey, the offensive coordinator, is showing us some innovation, I think, for the Saskatchewan offense this year. Think back to that Darrell Walker touchdown last week.
Here we go. 1st and 10. Tevin Jones loses the ball and he falls on it. It was stripped out by Des Lawrence as he was tackling him high, and ripped it out, and nearly a costly miscue there for Jones and the Riders, but they still have it.
2nd and short. They'll try and call the plays in the line of scrimmage. Yeah, that ball came out. There it is.
Instead, a 2nd and 1. And handoff, and not much there. They only needed about a yard. That's Jamal Morrow, the ball carrier, who had a tremendous start to the 2022 season. One of the leading rushers in the Canadian Football League before he got hurt and replaced by Frankie Hickson.
Get the new set here.
Did get the first down. Rider 44. Going to close the gap before the half. It's complete to Jones again. Near side. Across midfield. And finally, Alden Darby is in there with Evan Holm to take him down. A first down, Saskatchewan.
You know, Tevin Jones had a pretty good first half. And that was a question mark coming in for Saskatchewan and their fans when they didn't have Darrell Walker. I mean, they've got a few receivers out. Braden Lenius, he is on the 6th game. Schaefer Baker also on the 6th game, and Darrell Walker as well.
Here's Harris again. Looking for Winnipeg a bit too far inside the Winnipeg 30. Winnipeg has one catch earlier in the night, but that one incomplete. A 2nd down coming up.
You know, I watched it live. I thought he should have had that, but there's the guys that they're missing, and the totals. Keon Schaefer Baker having such a big year last year, and Darrell Walker that touchdown last week. Braden Lenius was injured in the preseason game against Winnipeg.
Those career numbers. Walker, of course, many of his great years with Edmonton. He had a 1,000-yard receiving season with Toronto too, but the rookie of the year with Edmonton back in 2015. But missing him, so yes, missing some key receivers. Harris, and that's back to Sean Bain, and nowhere really to go after the catch. Once again, Haba is in there, the defensive end. Darby as well on that play.
I'll go back to that Jake Winnipeg. That was a deep corner throw that would have put Saskatchewan into field goal range. And it really looked like he should have had it. I mean, this is a catch that he makes and has made a ton of. So I just wanted to take another look at really what happened here. Was there... he won the route just a little bit too far.
So in a 3rd and 9, the Riders will have to punt it away. Adam Korsak inside the Saskatchewan 50. Janarian Grant at his 10. Not much there as he gets it up across the 20. Halftime is looming. 1:42 on the clock. The well-traveled panel. And remember, they got to go back to studio for the final game of the week when the Argos face the Ticats. Kate, Milt, Maddie, Chesney too in Vancouver. Didn't set to talk about this game.
So Kate and Maddie, went with Carry On because they're the pros. I mean, they're traveling on. Maddie's on the road all the time anyway. So they went Carry On. I bet you.
I know where you're going with this.
I bet you Milt and Ches. I bet they had the full check bags, the big trunk going in there with all the wardrobe. I mean, those guys.
Well, Milt would say, he's got his reputation, his looks to, he needs a bunch of suits. Probably changes them up, And Ches, I've seen Ches in studio. He brings a full suitcase to work, just going into the studio. He's got everything. You're missing something. You go to the studio. You ask Ches. He's got a few extra pairs of shoes in there, probably an extra suit, shorts, and.
We don't see the shoes on TV.
Well, we see Chesy sometimes.
Yeah, I guess. It'll be fun at halftime. They're having a good time out in Vancouver.
Oh, they are. I think it's awesome. They're out there.
And good for Amar Doman getting all that set up.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, and just to hear Kate talking about it, the excitement already building for the Lions home opener after the big win in Calgary last week. They take on Edmonton tomorrow, and we're going to be there, and we're looking forward to that as well. But we got a game here. Winnipeg's leading it by 10 late in the half. And Collaros, once shown, they connected for a touchdown earlier, but that one's out of bounds.
And when you're playing the best team in the league and the best quarterback in the league, you have to be fundamentally sound. And what that means is if you got contain, you got to keep it. If you've got the B-gap lane, you got to take it and make sure you have it. And we've seen at times when the Rider defense gets real disciplined and they're almost playing cautiously, then Zach Collaros will sit back in the pocket and hit those intermediate to deep throws.
So late in this half, they do force Sheehan to punt. Alford cuts it back. A good return. They're in the Bombers zone. There's still a minute left. 1:04 on the clock. Plenty of time to get at least a few points on the board before halftime.
Yeah, I think you can still run your offense. You got probably 4 to 6 plays if you're efficient. Trevor Harris certainly is. Boy, by the way, these two quarterbacks, when we talked to them this week, both just great mutual respect for each other. And Kelly Jeffrey's going to now call the game in the hurry up.
From the Winnipeg 50.
Here they come.
Blitz coming. Flags out. Adam Bighill had Harris. Instead, he does get it away. Incomplete. Into the turf it goes. Harris almost taken into the turf with Adam Bighill coming hard. You could see that blitz coming.
Yeah, they loaded up the line of scrimmage. There was no show blitz there. It was all forward lean with everybody.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 15. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
You see, they're loaded up at the line of scrimmage, and you can see the forward lean from all these defenders because they're not. Sometimes you'll go up to the line to show that you're blitzing and then drop out of there. Not that time.
So push back. You look at Richie Hall, longtime defensive coordinator for Winnipeg. A 1st and 15 now at midfield. 59 seconds on the clock. There's a big completion. Saskatchewan, Sean Bain. And a first down for the Riders.
Now, one of those Dalton Schoen type catches. He had to go back, stop his momentum, catch it down low. But that's where Trevor Harris had to throw this, because if he didn't, Bain was getting whacked. Took a bit of a hit anyway.
In Lother's range, trying to get closer. And that went in and out of the hands of Jawan Breskison.
Let's go back to that Sean Bain catch for a second, Rod, because again, this is exactly where this had to happen. I'm not sure who was coming inside out. Was it Alexander? No, it was Diedrich Nichols with the hit. Receivers really appreciate those throws from the quarterback when you're going into the middle to be able to protect yourself as a receiver.
Bain had been used a lot as a returner as well with the Stamps in 2022. Moving over to the Riders, a 2nd and 10. The play clock winds down, and Harris gets it away to the right, and it's complete. Good first half. Samuel Emelis has the touchdown for Saskatchewan, has another big first down as, well, forget the field goal. 41 seconds on the clock. They can think end zone.
Yeah, oh yeah, you've got 3 plays here if you're efficient, and you see this nice deep out here. He's a smooth route runner. Samuel Emelis had a little bit of an injury issue last year, but that couple of moves, dragged that right foot to sell it. Got separation.
Harris is 15 of 18 for 173 and a touchdown pass to Emelis. Big moment here. Harris to throw again. He can find a receiver. Looking to the end zone. Touchdown Saskatchewan. And look who has it again. Samuel Emelis. 2 TDs on the night. And Harris and the Riders late in the half are right back in it.
Play action, push up the middle. That flushes Harris to the left, and watch the catch. Emelis goes and gets this football. Wow, we're seeing some spectacular catches tonight.
What a game, Emelis. Easily the best game of his young career, as he's hauled in a couple from Trevor Harris, who is 16 of 19 in this game. A couple of touchdowns.
First round pick back in 22, and he's showing us why.
We wondered about Harris's health. Would it be Mason Fine getting the start? Harris had that look about him. You could tell earlier on before it was official. There's no way he's missing this game.
Well, let's take a look at the drive, too. It starts by Mario Alford catching the punt on the fly and picking up good positive yards, and then over the middle to Bain. Nice throw to the sideline to Emelis, and watch this catch one more time when he comes back, sees his quarterback scramble, and in the scramble rules goes back out towards the sideline in the end zone, lays out to bring it in. Also notice that Trevor Harris coming on for that series. You could see that he knew how much time. I mean, this is a veteran quarterback. He walks on the field. He goes, guys, we've got a minute. If you got a minute in the CFL, you could score major from your own 5-yard line.
Well, like Colares, he's been around a while. 11th season, a lot of different teams, a lot of big games.
Yep.
Here's a big play, Janarian Grant. But it's on the, let's see, with 26 seconds to go.
Yeah.
What a difference maker he, well, we saw it in the playoffs, especially last year in both the West Final and.
He knows, too. He's
does.
coming out saying, hey, we've got 26 seconds to go.
Yep.
You need what, 20 yards for a field goal attempt here.
Remember in a close game in the Grey Cup, 4th quarter starts, just getting settled in for the start of the 4th quarter. Janarian Grant busts it. For the 2nd straight week, he had a return for a touchdown in the biggest games of all. By the way, Sergio Castillo's career high is 57 yards for a field goal. And on the sweep, they put it back in the hands, a rare offensive play for Janarian Grant, and he makes the most of that to pick up a first down. They're in Saskatchewan zone. What a finish to this first half. These offenses are busy.
It'd be about a 57-yarder right now, maybe 58. Now they're in range.
Carlton Agadosi, 1 catch last week. It's been a small sample size for that receiver. Just 1 game last year when he got hurt after 6 catches for 70 yards and a couple of touchdowns last July against Calgary. 2nd and 4. Sask 41. Complete again. First down inside the 35 and definitely in field goal range. It's Rasheed Bailey with the catch, but a flag is down. And this is going against Winnipeg.
Illegal block, hands to the face, Winnipeg number 66. 10-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
Yeah, that penalty may just take them out of field goal range with about, what, a play to go. Hands to the face. Stanley Bryant.
Rare flag against the left tackle Bryant, one of the greatest ever play in the Canadian Football League. Perennial All-Star. Top offensive lineman in the Canadian Football League the last couple of years, winning that award. 2nd and 14, Saskatchewan 51. 9 seconds on the clock. 3-point game. Off to Oliveira, who falls down quickly to stop the clock. 3 seconds to go. And a smart move, otherwise it would have expired, and a chance to run another play.
Well, smart move, but did he get enough? You know, like he had to get down or he might have lost it. Now, I was wondering why Saskatchewan touched him so early. Although if he's just down there on his own and have surrendered, the officials will blow their whistle, you know, about a 1 count after.
Castillo, as mentioned, is hit 57. This would be less than that, but Mike O'Shea has no such thoughts. Final play of the half. Early movement on the right. And will there be a deep shot at all as Collaros just goes down?
You know why he didn't want to kick that long field goal attempt? Coach O'Shea knows Mario Alford, what he can do if you miss it.
You remember the Argos here last year?
Absolutely.
Last play in the long field goal try, and Alford took it all the way for a touchdown. Winnipeg still goes to the half with the lead, but we have a much closer game now after that touchdown drive by Saskatchewan. And the Riders' offense, you know, especially with the uncertainty at quarterback, is a real headliner so far in this game.
So is Samuel Emlis.
Absolutely.
Great first half for him. Outstanding catch on the touchdown. Micah Johnson was nicked. Like he finished that first half, and that he'll be back.
We saw some great catches in this game, including one by last year's rookie of the major scores to take a 10-point lead, and then that late touchdown to get it within 3 as Harris and Emlis hooked up again. So the second half will begin, and the Riders will get the ball first. The kickoff coming down to Mario Alford inside the Rider 20. Nowhere to run. Tanner Cadwallader. Solid special teams players of Winnipeg coming in to make that tackle. So here comes Trevor Harris, and a strong game he's had so far.
Well, we weren't even sure if he was going to play. Craig Dickinson said it was going to be right down to the wire. Game time decision. He came out, took warm-up, looked good, and he has been on target, over 200 yards passing, on pace for 4, a couple of runs, and no ill effects from the sore hip / lower back injury suffered last week in Edmonton.
They worked well together for catches for Emlis, a couple of touchdowns. So they start at their 30, down 3. Second half, the home opener Riders, and off to the right, another completion to Tevin Jones, who had a strong first half as well, and getting the start in place of the injured Darrell Walker.
You can tell that Tevin Jones knows this opportunity that's in front of him. I mean, he has been ready to play. He's been a #1 target. Him and Emlis in this offense in the first half, and they could taken full advantage of this opportunity with Darrell Walker on the shelf.
Along with Kean Schaefer-Baker. Few injured, and Braden Lennius too. They have some good injured receivers, but the receivers tonight are stepping up in a 2nd and 6. Looking to another now. Coverage is good, but the catch is made. It is Sean Bain, and a big first down to start this second half for Saskatchewan.
Trevor Harris has to pay the price, and the accuracy on this throw, when you take a look at the hit that he is going to take, it's going to be Adam Bighill right down the bottom of your screen that he's going to be spying. Oh, excuse me, that's not who makes the hit. It's Walker up front, but Bighill's spying. He holds the ball to the last second, and then over the shoulder to Bain. Such a great, accurate throw after getting hit the way he did.
Ricky Walker coming in, and pretty solid contact there on Trevor Harris. Does complete the pass. Standing at the Winnipeg 35. They scrimmage from the 30 and a 1st and 10. Quickly away again to Jake Winnipeg. Second catch of the ball game for Winnipeg, coming over after some solid years with the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, I think Trevor Harris right now is still feeling the effects of that last hit. Ricky Walker planted one on number 7 and shake that off. Mason Fine's. No, he's good. He's good.
Mason Fine wasn't sure if he'd be starting this game. Standing by, it's a 2nd and 3. Quickly again and off to the right, and it's Emilus again who pushes his way after the catch for another 1st down for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, watch the quick read here by Emilus and by Trevor Harris when he sees the coverage and he sees what Winnipeg is doing defensively. Look at the depth that you have from the defensive back up high, and that's where Emilus says, okay, if he's going to play off me that far, then we'll just go quick game. A little quick foot in the ground, come back, pick up good yardage. 2nd down.
Good job to make Lawrence miss there, and a 1st and 10. In the 20. Complete again! Jamal Morrow goes up, brings it down in a crowd. Down near the Winnipeg goal line. A 1st and goal coming up, although there is a flag out.
We'll see what that flag, Willie Jefferson's in the middle of it, but Jamal Morrow's going to come out of the backfield and become a receiver. See 25 just right out of the backfield, gets in behind.
Illegal participation, Winnipeg, number 5, playing without a helmet. The penalty's declined. It was a completed pass on the 1-yard line. 1st down, Saskatchewan.
Well, I thought DeMario Houston was going to lower the boom on Morrow there, and he went down. Let's see, Willie Jefferson down at the bottom. If your helmet comes off, you got to stop. You got to get out of the play.
5 straight passes. Harris hit again by Jefferson without the helmet, hence the penalty. They were already down close anyway for a 1st and goal. And a flag coming out again before the snap of the ball.
Now I think Bomber fans are saying, well, how did the helmet come off? Wouldn't that be hands to the face penalty? Take another look at it.
Too many players in the huddle. Saskatchewan. That's a 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
And it was a high hit. Brandon Council up on the face mask. That one missed, but how about Willie Jefferson just saying, the helmet is good, but, and I'll wear it every play because I have to, because it's a rule, but I really don't need it.
He wanted to make sure he's, even without a helmet, got in on Trevor Harris there.
Still put a hit on him.
So too many in the huddle, forcing the Riders 5 back. Still 1st and goal now from the Winnipeg 6. With a chance to take the lead again. Touchdown again! Samuel Emilus. Wow. Again.
Hat-trick time.
His 3rd touchdown. What a home debut in 2023 for that combination of Trevor Harris and Samuel Emilus. And the Riders are indeed in front.
Yeah, they have been on the same page here tonight. Different types of plays, different types of coverage in all 3 touchdowns. But you always have your breakout game when you're a young player. A couple years in, talked about the injuries from last year for Emilus, but I think you'll look back at this game and say, this is the one I arrived, no matter how it ends up. Big game for number 19.
He had a solid opening game last week in Edmonton with 3 catches for 51 yards for a receiver that hadn't been targeted as much when all the others are healthy. Well, 3 catches. He's got that and then some. He's got 3 for touchdowns, and this is early in the 2nd half. Trevor Harris works him down the field. Some quick passes, including that one. Number 19 is having himself a game. Louisiana Tech, his 3rd touchdown has given the Riders the lead.
Yeah, hat trick in touchdown department. He's had 6 catches That was a great scramble rule move to get back outside when Trevor Harris was moving out of the pocket. Then the quick slant on the timing. Samuel Emilus has been targeted 7 times tonight, has caught 6 of them for 67 yards and 3 touchdowns.
You won't forget this night. Of course, it'd be a little easier to remember, too, if they could hang on for the victory. But you're talking about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Oh, yeah.
3 times West Division champions, and nearly 3-time Grey Cup champions as well. In the last 3 seasons, Janarian Grant taken down by Nelson Lacombo. So this is not something the Bombers are in a situation like this very often, but down right now in the second half.
Yeah, I mentioned in the first half that we talked to both quarterbacks, and they have great mutual respect for each other. And you would think they start talking about touchdown throws and, you know, their stats and their number of yards passing in their career and stuff. They don't talk about any of that. When they're talking about the opposition's quarterback, and these, in case of these 2 guys who were teammates back in Toronto, you know, they talk about preparation.
So here's Collaros going to work again and just escapes the rush from C.J. Rivas coming in on the blitz, and that's completed to Dalton Schoen.
You know, they talk about preparation, you know, finding new ways to analyze their throwing motion, watching tons and tons of game video.
And how about that? He had a rushing touchdown in the first half, his first one since August 21st, 2015, when he was the quarterback of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
That's why we saw him dancing on the sideline when he got it. It's been a while, I guess, for him right in there.
21-17, Saskatchewan leading Winnipeg. That's complete to Schoen across midfield. Dalton Schoen still going. He's had a night as well. Touchdown catch and gets it inside the 40. So you had a feeling, given the reputation of that Bomber offense, we're going to be charging back here.
Watch the work of this offensive line. I want to show you a block up front. I believe it was Patrick Neufeld. Inside move. No, it was actually Hardrick, Jamarcus Hardrick. He just puts Pete Robertson on the ground.
Gain of 31 yards. Collaros to Schoen as he escapes the rush, completes another one. Rolling to his right and gets it to Carlton Agadosi in his second year with Winnipeg, missing most of last year after getting hurt following his debut.
Big blocks up front again. I mean, watch this work. Now it's only 3-man pressure for the Riders. They're going to drop back in coverage, but just lots of time for Collaros to go through the reads, look at every single receiver down the field, and then spin out of there and find one.
The center, Chris Kolinkowski, saw him put down Micah Johnson, allowing Collaros to escape. Down inside the Saskatchewan 30. Winnipeg's offense looking to answer right back with the blitz on. Wolotarski has it. That quick hitter from Collaros, and he gets it inside the Rider 20.
Now, Dalton Schoen talked about it at halftime with Brett, just saying that, you know, we just got to take care of our stuff. You know, so they just saw Trevor Harris go down the field. Now they just get their offense out there and they run their offense, and it looks just as efficient as Trevor Harris just did.
Back and forth they go. The Riders, the Bombers, Winnipeg with it in a 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 18. Wolotarski out to the left in the wide side, faking the handoff. Oh, and it's complete to Schoen, a little bit behind with a defender right there for Saskatchewan, Rivas, and he completes another one.
How about the throwing motion and how Zach Collaros will adjust the angle of his arm to based on what he's got in front of him. He's got Rivas right in front of him, and he's jumping, so Collaros throws it around. He drops his shoulder and his elbow, and he throws it right around the rushing defender.
5 straight passes complete by Collaros. 2nd and 4 to Saskatchewan 12. And look at the 10. It's complete. Agadosi. He's got it. They had to get a little bit more for a 1st down. We have a 3rd and short coming up now. The Bombers trailing Saskatchewan by 4.
Very interesting here. What does Michael O'Shea is considering this, isn't he? They're 2 yards short of the marker. And he's saying go for it.
And a consideration, too, is how well the Rider offense has been moving down the field.
This is
an interesting choice.
Interesting choice to not take the points here. We're still in the third quarter, but he believes in his offense, especially the guys up front.
3rd and 2. Winnipeg's going for it. Deep in the Rider zone with the blitz coming. A look into the end zone. No. And Agadosi wants a flag, and a flag does come out in the Rider end zone. Working on Jeremy Clark, Carlton Agadosi, as it'll move closer to the goal line.
Defensive pass interference, Saskatchewan number 37. Ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. First down, Winnipeg.
We get to these replays just a little bit behind it, and because the contact had to happen before the ball arrived. I saw it clean when the ball arrived, but there was some contact before. We just didn't get a real good look at it.
So here we go. The gamble pays off. It's a 1st and goal at the Rider 1. The Bombers try to move ahead again. Short yardage in, and a touchdown is scored. It's Drew Brown with it, breaking the plane of the goal line, and Winnipeg, after falling behind, has quickly gone down the field to take the lead again.
How about these quarterbacks dueling?
You're not kidding. Former teammates 10 years ago.
Yeah, that last yard, by the way, is the hardest. Just ask Edmonton. But that Bomber O-line, they got the push, and Brown was in by a yard.
The Riders had made a huge goal line stand. 3 tries by the Elks last week, but that time not able to make the goal line stand against Drew Brown and the Bombers. And we have an extra point coming up here for Winnipeg, trying to move ahead by 3 again. What a back and forth entertaining game we've had here at Mosaic in the home opener for the Roughriders. Castillo puts it through. 3-point game. Collaros and Brown talk things over. Big guys get in. Patrick Neufeld slamming it home.
Rider fans, Jeremy Clark, are wondering about whether or not this was pass interference, and it certainly was, because Clark's down at the bottom of your screen in press coverage on Agadosi on this fade route. He's going out and wide, and you can see the holding going on right there. He holds the left arm, hangs onto it way too long. That's the pass interference call. It's a good call by the official, puts him on the 1-yard line, and Drew Brown took it from there.
Jeremy Clark looks up. In this back and forth game, Collaros and the Bombers, you know, you talked about them being teammates 10 years ago. In 2012 and 2013, I'm trying to think of that Argo quarterback room, what that was like when you got those two guys as backups to
Ricky Ray.
So on the kickoff, Mario Alford on the return. Another good one, still on his feet up near the 50, and a late flag does come out. Entertaining home opener for Gaynor and the fans in green and white. Getting a chance 25, so 88%. He's clicking on, and 3 touchdown passes, all to Samuel Emelis.
Both quarterbacks have looked great.
They have. I was going to say, I keep coming back to that. When you had Ricky Ray, and then you had little-known Zach Collaros, and even lesser-known Trevor Harris back in that Argo team. Mike O'Shea, by the way, special teams coordinator on that team when they won the Cup back in 2012. And they're around again a year later. And look at them now, veterans in the league, and they are going toe-to-toe. These two quarterbacks in this game. With 45 points on the board, and Winnipeg leading by 3. Saskatchewan past the midway point of the third quarter. Looking for Jones, and they talk about Harris. Nearly a pick for Evan Holm with great coverage on Jones there. It'll be 2nd down.
Yeah, Evan Holmes, Holm just basically made up this space, because they had something there, the Riders, with Jones down the sideline, but 31 catches up in a real hurry. Evan Holm, almost like he was baiting him to throw that, and then it forced Tevin Jones into becoming defensive back and try and rip it out of there, and he gets it done before Holm goes down.
Evan Holm in his 2nd year out of North Dakota. Starting at field half. 2nd and 10. 6:12 in the clock in the 3rd quarter. Some heat is coming, and it's off the fingertips of Jamal Morrow. So this time it's a 2-and-out for the Riders, as Korsak will come on to punt it away. Just the 2nd 2-and-out for this Saskatchewan offense in this game.
Not a bad returner back there. They should have good field position for Zach Collaros.
Korsak, little end over end punt. Gets a nice roll too, chasing Grant inside the 20. He breaks out to the left. They keep coming. Morgan Hughes can't get him. He is breaking free. Janarian Grant still on his feet, still in bounds inside the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown Winnipeg.
Illegal block. Winnipeg, number 10. That'll be a 10-yard penalty from the 30-yard line. First down, Winnipeg.
Explosive as it was, a flag had come out, and an illegal block penalty against Nick Dembski negates another spectacular return by Janarian Grant.
That's just outstanding effort by Janarian Grant. We'll try and find the penalty to take a look at it, but you know, it looked like 3 or 4 times the Riders would get contained on him and turn him back up into the pursuit. But I'll tell you what, that was some kind of return. Whether it stands or not, it doesn't look like it will.
And one of many, but this one not to be, negated by the penalty. Bomber ball and a 3-point lead. The illegal block. Waiting for clarification on that, but bottom line is a punt return touchdown by Janarian Grant has been taken off the board. There's Dave Foxcroft.
Winnipeg is challenging the previous play for an illegal block. We'll review the play.
So Mike O'Shea puts out the challenge flag. Let's see what they saw.
Well, I don't think Nick Dembski was on.
No. Unless they announced number 10.
Could that have been it? I mean, when we went back and Maruo number 00 here.
There's Maruo 00, as you point out, with a block from behind.
I'm not sure about that one either. That looked like it was shoulder to shoulder, and then Grant bouncing to the outside. I mean, he was already well past that shoulder to shoulder hit. Yeah,
you see Maruo 00 on Justin Herdman Reed 58, and they initially announced 10. I'm wondering if they meant 00. Regardless, as you say,
what an effort.
It was such an effort by him to stay in bounds as well. It looked like he was heading out, but just to break it back to the left and find an opening when it looked like the Riders had him bottled up. How many times have we seen that? Last year alone, some of the spectacular touchdown returns that Janarian Grant had. Mike O'Shea challenges. Here's the result.
After review, the command center reviewed all possible blocks against Winnipeg and ruled that they were legal. The ruling is overturned. The result of the play, touchdown.
Something you don't see often on a play like that is a challenge and an overturn on a return touchdown. It stands. It was a touchdown, Janarian Grant.
Well, nothing there. I went back and looked at it. Decided there just wasn't. I think the closest one was Maruo on Herdman Reed. That looked like it was almost shoulder to shoulder there, and it was well behind the play as well. Although we've seen that been called many times.
What a game breaker is Janarian Grant, who does get credit for that touchdown, and an extra point away from having a 10-point lead for the second time in this game. Sergio Castillo. You know, I talked to Mike O'Shea, a special teams coordinator himself, about is the return game better now than it's ever been, and he wasn't willing to say that. Some of the teammates he's had in Chad Owens and Pinball Clemens, Bashar Livingston, and other greats around the league. Remember Henry Gizmo Williams. But it is, he did agree. This is, I mean, there are a lot of special returners, including the one he has.
Well, look at this. I mean, first of all, Janarian Grant goes up the field. Now he's got to cut inside of that contain and then still have the speed and the stiff arm here on Bruno LaBelle. I mean, outstanding effort from Janarian Grant. And it was, in a lot of ways, I mean, he got a couple of blocks, but in a lot of ways, it was on his own. Look at this one. Stiff arm. It's a big tight end. LaBelle is 250 pounds. Strong upper body with number 80, and I think he's got a little bit of speed, too.
He sure does. And remember last year, his teammates taking care of him. Remember last year, he took care of them, too, in the West Final against BC in the Grey Cup to start the fourth quarter against the Argos. 8 kick returns. Janarian Grant for touchdowns. And this one's opened this one up again, as the Riders have some work to do, down a couple of scores in a 31-21 game. Still lots of time. 5:16 to go in the third quarter.
Well, lots happened since Trevor Harris took it all the way down the field and scored. But you're right, it's unique. It's one of the first times I think I have heard the command center say that they have looked at all the blocks on a play and didn't see a foul. Basically looked at 11 guys and said, nope, it's all clean.
Jamal Morrow, short gain, right side, pushing there, so it'll be a 2nd and long coming up. Under 5 minutes to go in the third. Number change this year for Rick Walker, down to number 9. By the way, my apologies to Jarius Jackson, who was in that quarterback room of the Argos in 2012.
Oh, right.
He was the backup to Ray. Imagine this, Caleros and Harris were 3-4 on the QB depth that year in 2012. Here's Harris. Favorite target of the night. Samuel Emelis with 3 touchdowns, and on that catch, gets it up near midfield.
Going to get the headgear back on straight. To that hit from Adam Bighill in there, 3 receiving touchdowns tonight. That ties a Riders single game record. Can he get a 4th?
They need him to. Need somebody to get back closer again, and not something you doubt at this point, the way they've connected. And that was for a first down. Up across Rider 53, blitz coming, gets it away in the middle, completes it to Jake Winnipeg. So across midfield and close to another Saskatchewan first down.
Tried to roll Alden Darby back to the middle, and when they did that and brought Brandon Alexander up, Winnipeg realizes that they're making that rotation, and he's got a soft spot.
He finds it and Harris finds him. It's a 2nd and 1 on that. Gain by Winnipeg. Quickly again for Jones. And with DeMario Houston bearing down right near the line of scrimmage, it falls incomplete. And Harris is saying, my bad on that one. It's a 3rd and short, but a foot or 2.
Yeah, we've seen both these quarterbacks protect their receivers very well tonight with throws, you know, nice and tight and low, and where they can cradle it into the stomach and absorb the hits coming. But Trevor Harris knew immediately he hung him out to dry a little bit there.
Shea Patterson's in for short yardage. The Riders 1 for 2 in that department. Turned it over on downs the first try. Got it the next one. He goes right side, and he didn't need much. It looks like he will have enough for another Saskatchewan first down, see where they spot the football. He thinks he's got it. Sure looks like it. Patterson, he was in the USFL last year with the Alouettes, backing up Trevor Harris in 2021 in Montreal.
Tough going right in the middle, so Patterson taking the bit longer approach, but getting to a soft spot on the right side of that O-line. And Ferland.
To the Winnipeg 46. Riders on the move. Harris steps up, looks deep, right side, off the hands of Jake Winnipeg. A little bit high coming in. Incomplete.
A couple corner routes right this game for Jake Winnipeg that they've just missed on. I mean, Trevor Harris has been real close. That one in the first half that was just the outstretched hands of Winnipeg. This one just a little bit high and behind him. Had to avoid the rush and step up, though, and maybe just that bit of a rush off the edge was what affected the accuracy.
They were teammates the last couple of years with the Alouettes. Now together with the Riders and a 2nd and 10 Harris. Shorter crossing route, the catch, the run, the first down, Jerome Breskison. Who is slow to get up. Breskison, his biggest play for the Riders.
You know, sometimes
coming over this year.
Sometimes fans, Rod, will say, if you got 2nd and 10, why do you throw a 3-yard pass on a crossing route? This is why. Because depending on the coverage, sometimes you get like this man look with a defender in chase. You get that leverage, you get it to him, he can make the first down on his own.
Harris 321 yards passing. Looking off to his left, and you think number 5 Winnipeg has batted down a few balls at the line of scrimmage in his career?
Yeah, he has.
A tough guy to throw over, Willie Jefferson.
Yes, he has. 2 knockdowns in the first game of the season against Hamilton, and he just gets one. It's been a quiet night in a lot of ways for Willie Jefferson, the way that we've seen him sometimes dominate a game. So you've got to give some credit to the tackles for Saskatchewan Roughriders, but still a lot of game to be played, and you know Jefferson's going to make a play here or there.
58th knockdown in his great CFL career.
It really is.
A former Rider, Willie Jefferson, Defensive Player of the Year with Winnipeg in 2019. Coming hard again on the left. Harris buys himself some time and down inside the 5. And pointing, looking for a call, too. That one incomplete late here in the 3rd quarter. Intended for Tevin Jones.
I don't see any signals from any of the Saskatchewan players to signal to their head coach, Craig Dickinson. It looked like Trevor Harris was saying he thought that his receiver Jones was on that crossing route and was interfered with, but he ran into his own guy, Sean Bain.
Brett Lawther from the 30 to make it a 1-score game again. We're down 10. Now they're down 7. And about a half a minute to go until 3-quarter time. Remains close in this early season rivalry game between the Bombers and Riders.
Here's another look at that route, Rod. He's coming inside, and you see they just collide. He just had to get around the linebackers that deep in the route a little bit too much. He runs into Bain, and Trevor Harris, from his angle, it looked like he was held and didn't come across the field smoothly. So that's why the receivers didn't signal to Craig Dickinson to challenge that.
They're still moving the ball well. That time picking up their first field goal of the game. Both teams 1-0 coming in. Saskatchewan winning their opener Sunday, and Edmonton, Winnipeg at home last Friday against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Both started well last year, too. At one point, the Riders were 4-1 last year. Winnipeg started 9-0 before losing to Trevor Harris and the Montreal Alouettes in overtime. Went on to a 15-win season. There's Big Charbel DeBeer in on the play as we were getting near the end of the 3rd. A loss of 1, a 2nd and 11 coming up.
Buck Pierce has gone to a lot of different looks on 2nd and long. One of them is to get Zach Collaros outside and on the edge, taking advantage of soft edge to get outside.
Good crowd tonight at Mosaic. Raising the decibels now for that Winnipeg offense. On a 2nd and 11 to finish the third quarter. It is complete. Dalton Schoen took a hit too from Nelson Lacombo, and he hung on. Another big night for Schoen, and that one gets across midfield where the Bombers will start the fourth quarter with the ball and in Saskatchewan's territory with the lead. Riders moved down for a field goal just minutes ago, but it's still one touchdown difference from that man, Janarian Grant. For the visiting Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 31-24, plenty of offense, plenty of passing yards too, as you can see from these two quarterbacks, Zach Collaros and Trevor Harris.
In week one, the defenses were a little bit ahead across the league. In week two, it hasn't taken long for the offenses to catch up. We're closing in on 600 yards passing between these two quarterbacks. They're putting on a show. You know, there's been the odd defensive play, no question about it, but how about Samuel Emelis with 3 touchdowns for the Riders?
That's a big part of the story, and right now, so too, Dalton Schoen too, with that brilliant catch he had in the first half.
Well, this is a second play that Zach Collaros, in a second and real long, has had that time in the pocket to sit back there and just step up and have a throwing lane to get it to his targets. Those are big second down conversions when you're second and plus yards, more than 10.
Lots of offense, but the difference right now is a special teams play. Janarian Grant, that return touchdown. Here's Collaros going to work, and oh, you don't see that often. Sliding down, Schoen in and out of his hands that time. 2nd and 10 coming up, Winnipeg.
Well, this is the question now. I mean, Jason Shivers is the defensive coordinator for Saskatchewan, and does he try to send blitz here to maybe rush a throw from Zach Collaros, because when they let him sit in the pocket, he's completing those 14, 15 to 20-yard intermediate routes and converting these second and long. Now, if you blitz, you're in one-on-one with Dalton Schoen and Rasheed Bailey. And
so what's Jason Shivers do here on a 2nd and 10? Just barely beating the play clock.
3-man pressure.
Collaros, and it's intended for Dembski, wants a flag, and he got one too. 3 riders back there. Lacombo reaching up, but this penalty is going against Saskatchewan.
Yeah, there's the answer. Shivers decides to just send 3 and then drop everybody else in coverage and see if Zach Collaros can find a hole. And this Dembski on the left of your screen is going to be the target. And let's see if what happens down the field. The ball is thrown to him, so any contact turns into pass interference, pushing the back from Lacombo before the ball arrives.
Contact right there on Nick Dembski.
There's no question.
Defensive pass interference. Saskatchewan number 21. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down, Winnipeg.
Well, I don't think there's any question on the contact. Now, I mean, Shivers probably making the argument that that ball was tipped by Deontay Williams and was no longer catchable. But that hit in the back was pretty clear.
So, point of the foul down to the Rider 21. 1st and 10, Winnipeg, handing off Grady Oliveira. Runs out. 3 more yards. 2nd down coming up. Another look at that penalty and Nelson Lacombo.
Well, stop it right there, guys. Yeah, you see the ball hasn't arrived yet. Now, the official cannot make the judgment as to whether or not that ball was going to continue through. The contact was made before the ball was tipped.
Gain of 4, Oliveira. 2nd and 6 coming up, Winnipeg. Early 4th quarter. Saskatchewan 17. Pressure coming. Collaros gets it away, and he gets it to Drew Wolotarski inside the 10. It's a first down. It'll be a 1st and goal for Winnipeg.
Wolotarski stumbled on his route here. I mean, he's running this deep curl. He's going to get down near the goal line, come back, and he stumbles a little bit, but recovers. I mean, he's going out and around, and then he kind of chops his feet, stumbles a little bit, and then finds that spot for Zach Collaros to hit him.
First and goal. 7-point lead. Riders desperately trying to hold them to a field goal. Oliveira down to the 5, backs up. He finds a way, like the star running back before him in Winnipeg, Andrew Harris. Just when it looks like they can't get any more yards, they pick up 1, 2, 3 more, working it down a bit closer.
So now what do you do, coach? Second down on the 2-yard line. Do you go back to 20? I mean, there's that second effort you talked about. He got 2 or 3 more by just not surrendering.
Here's one of the matchups. Buck Pierce, Jason Shivers. This Winnipeg offense has a second and goal at the Rider 2, looking to go up 2 touchdowns. Drew Brown is in. Short yardage. Pushing near the plane. No signal. They say no. Down shy of the goal line. And a third down is coming up. Third and goal, Winnipeg.
Yeah, as soon as they empty the backfield, you know what the play is. Basically, you're going quarterback sneak, and they'll line up and do it one more time on third down. First half, Michael O'Shea gambled on third down from about the 4-yard line.
The Rider defense had a big goal line stand last week. They need another. Right now, Brown pushing. And a flag does come out. As he breaks through for the Winnipeg touchdown, we'll see the result of the flag.
Offside, Saskatchewan. That penalty's declined. Touchdown.
Touchdown Brown as he pushes it across, and the Bombers now have a 2-touchdown lead, their biggest lead of the night.
I thought you were on the first one. Good shit. See that, boy?
Sergio Castillo for another point after try. Put it wide left, so the miss by Castillo, and it is still a 37-24 lead, a 13-point advantage for Winnipeg. Kolinkowski and the big boys up. Back at Mosaic in Regina and Winnipeg, looking things over after another touchdown scored by Drew Brown in short yardage after a 9-play 70-yard drive, and little comfort for Winnipeg on a night that's been back and forth. But Saskatchewan now down by 13. Now the missed extra point and a big kick there.
There's the extra point.
There is the extra point. They make it up that way. Sergio Castillo after missing the point after, and then that kick taken down for that single, and 38-24 it is. 14 points. Collaros and company in front right now. Still lots of time, but lots of work for Saskatchewan to do now. And teams inside the 20 in the score zone have been perfect, by the way, in this game. Winnipeg 4 for 4, Saskatchewan 3 for 3. The ball comes out 2 to 40. And that's single point. Trevor Harris and the Riders. Plenty of time. Finds his receiver. It is Tevin Jones again. And a good gain up about 9 yards. It'll be a second and short coming up for Saskatchewan.
Well, that play looked like they were making it up. It looked like it was supposed to be a hitch play. Quick throw from Harris. But Tevin Jones, he wasn't ready to throw it when he did. He thought he'd pump fake. He wanted to go deep. He didn't. He just slid into the middle.
They were in a situation like this before. They take a free play here and worry about the short yardage later. That's what they're doing. Deep for Jones. He got turned around, but he has the ball working on Demario Houston. So that time it works out. And here come the Riders.
So here's what happens, Rod. They run that first play where they were going to go the hitch and go. and he didn't know it. Jones didn't know it, and so he just kind of found a spot. And then Trevor Harris went in the huddle the very next play, and he goes, "Hey, we're going to do it again. Let's try it again. Hitch and go." And this time it's executed.
Different situations on second and short in the first half. They didn't get that one, and then they didn't convert. They turned it over on downs. Quickly with the blitz coming, gets it away to Winnipeg. Takes that down, and a pickup of another 4 or 5 yards for Saskatchewan. Inside the 30. Call it a pickup of 6, and Riders are in tempo now. Up to the line quickly. Approaching the halfway point of this fourth quarter. Harris handing off. Moore has a hole right side. First down and more. Saskatchewan. As Jamal Morrow takes it down near the Bomber 10.
Their first game of the season against Edmonton, Jamal Morrow was crucial in the final drive for Saskatchewan to seal the deal. Kelly Jeffrey, the offensive coordinator, went to his running back late in that game, and boy, was he productive. Almost had 100 yards on the night just from that late fourth quarter action all by itself.
First and 10 now. And that one incomplete, intended for Jones. I go back to that stat inside the score zone, inside the 20-yard line. These teams have been perfect. Touchdowns every time. Saskatchewan 3 for 3. And looking to tie Winnipeg at 4 for 4, and they need to. And the Winnipeg 11. A second down and 10. Gets it away, nearly intercepted by Alden Darby. Oh my goodness. Could have snuffed out that drive right there. Darby had a shot at it, stepping right in front. Instead, a third down is coming up.
Jumps it. I mean, Willie Jefferson's going to get to Trevor Harris as he throws this one. Harris didn't have a chance to pull it down and find the next guy. He's trying to throw that on time, and Alden Darby, the veteran, knew it. I mean, he just jumps that shallow post.
The Riders are going to take some points and have something to show for this drive, as they do, as Lothar puts it through. So a 14-point game goes down to an 11-point game. Still 2 scores, the CFL, including these 2 players. Let's go back to Britt Dork.
Yeah, when I had a conversation with Nick Dembski yesterday, he told me he was so excited because at the end of the month, his first baby's going to be born, a little baby girl. He was even wearing a pink shirt yesterday with Donald Duck on it. He said that's a nod to her. And we also have an exciting time for Trevor Harris, who's welcomed his 3rd son into the world. You may remember he left training camp, actually, for a week to go back to Ohio while his wife, Kaylee, gave birth to a trip. Little man, and you could see his 2 older sons. They were so excited when they saw him run onto the field today because it's the first game they've been able to see their dad in the green and white. So you can tell that early age where they're already falling in love with the game of football and watching their dad.
Thank you, Brett. Awesome story, and we wish happy Father's Day to both of them and everyone else. And you saw Kaylee there with young Tripp and Trenton and Trace as well, the Harris family. Enjoying watching their dad play here in his home debut with the Roughriders.
And now that group hoping that their defense can figure out Zach Collaros and this Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense. Pretty efficient in this second half.
Micah Johnson, injured earlier in the game, is back in up front, and a big situation defensively for Saskatchewan. They need a stop. They still need 2 scores. They're down 11. Under 6:40 to go here in the fourth quarter. It's Collaros and that Winnipeg offense. It's been excellent tonight again. And that'll certainly help Saskatchewan's cause as they have a 2nd and long coming up now after that short carry by Johnny Augustine.
Yeah, that's what you want to do defensively, but this is also what Buck Pierce wants to do offensively. 2 back-to-back runs. Grinds the clock down even more. You've got the lead. Now you're running the football. You're keeping it in bounds. I think we're going to have to throw it here, but I like screen draw sometimes in this situation as well.
Give them something they may not be expecting, right? 2nd and 7 coming up. The heat's coming. They nearly got him, but they didn't. And Collaros takes off again. And just down, he slides right near the first down mark. Zach Collaros is having a good night running the football. You said earlier, first touchdown run he's had in 7 years. 8 years.
Well, he's doing, Rod, what he needs to do to get it done. I mean, he's not known to be a huge runner, but he will when this pressure breaks down. I mean, Jason Shivers has sent 3 men in some of these situations on 2nd and long, and Zach Collaros is trying to find those players down in smaller windows down the field. And as at times, most of the time tonight, got it done. That time they sent 6, and he found a lane.
3 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown for Zach Collaros on the ground. Go to the ground again with Johnny Augustine. Down inside the 45.
Yeah, grind the clock. Grind the clock. Brady Oliveira banged up through the preseason and training camp, and it's a breather there. Hopefully he's okay.
Very interesting early on in the CFL season. We're just in week 2. So look ahead to for Winnipeg. They host BC next week, and Saskatchewan goes to Calgary. The Stampeders picking up their first win in Ottawa last night. Riders trying to find a way to come back and beat Winnipeg here tonight. They're in a hole, and that won't help. First down, Dalton Schoen and more. Schoen finally knocked down by Deontay Williams as Roland Milligan was trying to tackle him, but another big connection. Collaros to Schoen and a first down deep here for Winnipeg.
Dembski comes in to help in the protection. Schoen on the inside road. He takes a big hit, but bounces up.
Deontay Williams, his first year out of Nebraska. And that knockdown, but the pressure really on the Rider defense again with the ball at the Saskatchewan 11. Running out of time. Down 11. First down on the ground again. No, the faked Augustine and rolling to his right. Collaros into the end zone. Touchdown Winnipeg. Drew Wolodarski picks up another. He had one last week against Hamilton. And the Bombers late in the game really opening up their lead.
Well, and it's the way they're doing it too. And again, I give the credit. You got to give the credit to this offense and the coordination of it, and just how much variety is in there. Misdirection, moving the launch point to make sure that Zach Collaros isn't in the pocket every single 2nd and long, depending on the coverage. Whether it's been
this team.
Dropping everybody and sending 3, they're finding holes. I don't think Jaden Dalkey's been in this game for a while. I think he's been nicked.
Castillo gets that point after, as Winnipeg goes 5 for 5 inside the score zone, inside the 20. Wolodarski, with that catch, goes over 2,000 yards for his career. Won't forget that either. You heard him saying he loves this team. This team is getting a good night for the Winnipeg offense and the team overall. Big special teams play as well, but finally they can get a little more comfortable. Saskatchewan had made it so interesting. Back and forth they went earlier in this game, but now standing at 45-27 with not much time, just a few minutes to go here at Mosaic.
Well, and at this point, is Craig Dickinson going to send out Mason Fine?
Jamal Morrow on the return and gets that up across the 25. Harris is to this one tonight, and it did not disappoint for Craig Dickinson's team, though, running out of time, and what for a while had been good back and forth play by these two offenses. Trevor Harris still in this game. They're down 18. And it's Sean Bain tiptoeing down the sideline. Breaking breaking free until Malik Clemens finally pushes him out of bounds. 2:37 on the clock. A big play for Bain with his new team.
He's the trailer. A little swing hitch out there, and then away he goes. Lots of room on the sideline. Not pushed out of bounds there. Showing a nice burst of speed. Down 3 possessions, though. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, Trevor Harris, I guess, is going to finish this game.
See if we can finish off a drive quickly. Not that way. As the heat comes, and you saw Malik Clemens was the one that that pushed Bain out of bounds. This time blitzing comes in and takes Harris down.
Well, I think this will be talked about. I mean, first of all, good football game that was down to the wire with about 8 or 9 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter. And then that Bomber offense took over. There was that PI call. They finished that drive with a major, and then Zach Collaros went to work. So that's where it got out of hand. But this will be questioned, I'm sure. Craig Dickinson with that decision late against Edmonton last week. And down 3 possessions.
Winnipeg 43 in and out of the hands of Jamal Morrow on that second down play. So a third down coming up, and down 18. Not going to be any sign of punt or field goal. Going for it here late. 2:16 on the clock. It's Mason Fine, the backup quarterback, who started the last 2 games of the regular season instead of Cody Fajardo.
It's a little risky. This is a little risky for Trevor Harrison.
Third and 19. Big Thomas chasing him. He takes off. And he's certainly no chance at a first down. Don't want to see him take a hit. So out of bounds he goes. They turn it over on downs. And Winnipeg is going to wrap up this game to go to 2-0. Still 2 minutes on the clock, but up 45-27 as Harris will head off.
Well, the team to beat in the league remains the team to beat in the league. That's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And, you know, really showing how they are a 3-phase football team. I mean, Michael O'Shea got great production out of his offense tonight. His defense gave up some points. Trevor Harris was going toe-to-toe for a long time there with Zach Collaros, but they shut the door a couple of times in that fourth quarter to give a couple more possessions to Collaros.
And they had a great start too last week against Hamilton, although some big plays made it a closer game than it probably should have been.
And then the big return.
And then the big
so the special teams contributing as well.
The game breaker, Janarian Grant, you're right. That was the one that really did open it up tonight when he took that one all the way for the touchdown. But just Mike O'Shea talking to us a couple of days ago. It just said he was happy with the way things went against Hamilton. He wasn't going to dump on the team because there were 3 mistakes made: a scoop and score, a block punt for a touchdown, and then Janarian Grant himself coughing one up that led to a Hamilton touchdown and a much closer finish. But overall, the Bombers have looked good.
They have looked good, and what is going to be talked about now is Brady Oliveira didn't finish that last couple of series. He's been a little bit of pain on that sideline, so we'll see what that is. He's describing the pain to his teammates right now. We didn't see Jaden Dahlke, the safety that played very well in the first game of the season, controlling the middle of the defense for Saskatchewan. He didn't play in the second half.
Back to the ground, and Johnny Augustine in for the injured Oliveira.
And I only bring that up with Dahlke because on some of those second and longs, or, you know, when it was even second and more than 10, Zach Collaros dropped back, was deep in the pocket, and hit 20-yard dig routes right over the middle to get a new set of downs.
Right.
And, you know, when you get a young, and I'm not blaming Nelson Lacombo, but when you get a young Nelson Lacombo in there playing probably a little deeper than normal because he's getting that start. Dahlke didn't play in the second half. That's where the Bombers and their veteran offense went after.
Jaden Dahlke from the Alberta Golden Bears. And then an impressive game last week. That Rider defense back home for him in Edmonton.
How was Zach Collaros, though? I mean, again, sit down and talk to him about the game and his just, I know all the quarterbacks, they know the reads and the defenses and all of that, but it seems like he just keeps taking it to another level, and him working with Buck Pierce and how they mix things up. I mean, not necessarily pass and run tonight. It's a lot of pass first stuff, but the way they move the pocket, the way they move him outside, sometimes he'll escape up the middle and just manage it and throw on the run.
Loves the receivers he has, and consider too that they got Kenny Lawler back, and he's suspended because of immigration issues. And Johnny Augustine has a big hole left side. Was tackled there by Amari Henderson, but gets a first down. A little over a minute left. So you imagine Kenny Lawler, the way he looked last year with Edmonton, coming back to Winnipeg, and he can be a receiving spectacle. There's a lot of weapons for Collaros.
And if you're wondering, we asked Michael O'Shea about any updates with Kenny Lawler. He said not at this point. They're still going through the process there, so not sure how long he'll be out. But yeah, I mean, team that got to the Grey Cup without him last year, but you add him to this core. Wow.
Make that receiving core that much better. The clock ticks down. And the home opener for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2023. It'll drop the record to 1-1, but in terms of the addition of Trevor Harris, they have a lot to, I think, be excited about. The way Harris looked for much of this game and the way they were able to answer back Winnipeg when the Bombers had taken the lead. Trevor Harris throwing for over 400 yards, and they said those 3 touchdowns to Samuel Emilus. They've had their fair share of injuries in the receiving core, so still some good offensive signs for Craig Dickinson and Saskatchewan, in a losing cause in this one. They will meet again here at Mosaic in early September in the annual Labor Day game the week after that in the Banjo Bowl. Zach Collaros takes a knee. Winnipeg takes another win against their rivals on the prairie.
Well, hey, the Bombers' last loss at Mosaic Stadium was 2019. That streak remains intact.